Hey guys, why did I just come back down there? I don't even know, but anyway, this video is special to me. This is the top 10 best of 2014. We had some very phenomenal films this year. We had some great movies this year even. And they're the type of movies I just wanted you to go outside, scream to the sky and to the heavens and just say, "Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you!" Anyway, well, let's get on to this top 10 list. These are the top 10 best of the year, and these are the movies that just really grabbed me. They really sucked me into the environment. But before we do that, I want to get some honorable mentions out of the way first. All great movies, but they unfortunately just couldn't get enough to make it on this list. And now keep in mind, before this, I want to lay down a few rules. Number one, I haven't seen every single movie coming out this year. You're not going to see movies like Birdman or Whiplash or Boyhood, because I just haven't seen those yet, and they haven't come down to my city yet, so I need to wait a little while. But if you just be patient with me, I can really get it on time. And maybe I could review it, maybe after the top 10 best of the year. But let's not waste any time. I don't like long introductions, so let's go to the corner and talk about the top 10 best. Ooh, something to drink. Now, before we get into this top 10 list, I pause the video right now, get yourself a nice cold beverage, and get yourself some Cheez-Its, because they're delicious. And I'm not being sponsored by them in any way. Actually, that's a lie. I'm being paid $12 million to sponsor some Cheez-Its. So, yeah. There you go. Enjoy. That said, let's just get into this list, starting at number 10. The Lego Movie is definitely my favorite animated film of the year. It's definitely my favorite family film of the year. And you could look at it as like, okay, Tyson, it's just a silly kids movie and Legos. Come on, man, come on. But to me, it was just actually a lot more deeper than that. It was a social commentary on how we are as a society and how we look at things and pop culture and just all this stuff. And it was combined in this little movie, and the creators of the 21 Jump Street movies did a wonderful job at creating that and making that world. It also has really good voice work from Chris Pratt, Morgan Freeman, Elizabeth Banks, Will Ferrell especially. At number 9 is my favorite action film of the year, hands down, and it contains one of the best comeback roles for an actor in a very long time. And that is... Keanu Reeves is back, and he is John Wick. He is just amazing in this role. And I'm not just saying that because I really like Keanu Reeves as a likable actor. No, I really like him in this movie. He is just emotional. He is detached. He definitely gives one of the best performances of the year and one of the most underrated performances of the year. I thought this film has a great setup for a franchise that could just be such a cool idea, and it just felt like a comic book movie, but not based on a comic book. It was really unique. And at number 8 is kind of an action film, but it really isn't if you really dissect it and think about it. This movie is released really weird, and a lot of people haven't heard about it, sadly, but number 8 is... Snowpiercer is just a phenomenal film throughout. It really gets your heart beating fast. You don't know who's gonna live, who's gonna die. It is just a fast-paced, and it's not even like all the way action, shoot 'em up, kill 'em type of movie. It is definitely a film that really thinks, especially towards the ending. I know a lot of people have problems with the ending, but I know a lot of people haven't heard about this movie for some strange reason, and it just really baffles me because Chris Evans gives one of the best performances I've ever seen from him, and I hope he does not quit acting. And there's also really good performances all around from some special people who I don't want to say. At number 7 is not only one of the most rewatchable films of the year, because I probably watched this movie about 8 times. Yeah. It's one of the most confusing films I've seen in a very long time. And that movie is... Enemy is is just a mind-numbingly crazy thriller that just is just so engrossing. If you don't know this film, it's directed by the guy who did Prisoners, also a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. Strangely enough, they actually did this movie before Prisoners, but this movie came out after Prisoners. So, fun fact for you. Jake Gyllenhaal, I mean, that dude is just a great actor. He always does such a good job. At first, when I saw it, I was just so confused and so in this trance of this film. It was just crazy, and no other film has done that to me this year. If you have seen this film and you don't really know the theories of it, check out another movie critic on YouTube. His name is Chris Stuckman, if you don't know him. I'll put a link down below, and he does this enemy analyzed review where he just literally lists all the theories, lists all the things that happen, and it really helps me, and I really think it helps anyone who actually saw it. Coming in at number 6, we are moving to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with Captain America: The Winter Soldier is probably one of the best sequels ever. It definitely does what a sequel should. It ups the ante. It makes it darker, more grittier. It makes it cooler. I mean, this movie is just a huge step up from Captain America: The First Avenger. And it really propels you into thinking, and this movie's not a superhero movie as you think it would be. It's actually a spy, espionage, thriller movie, which I was really surprised by. The Winter Soldier is awesome. Chris Evans, I couldn't pick anybody else who would be Captain America. I mean, the dude just kills it. Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, she is great. She was actually a really difficult character. She had some complexity. At number 5 is one of my favorite thrillers of the year, and possibly made by one of my favorite directors of all time, and that movie is the film Gone Girl really touched me in a way, and not because of the ending that a lot of people are talking about. It's because this movie just gets you fixated into this world. This movie is nearly 3 hours long, and I didn't feel like this movie dragged or slowed down or anything throughout. I mean, it was just a phenomenal film throughout. Ben Affleck is perfect in this movie. This is definitely one of his best performances. Rosamund Pike is phenomenal. She's definitely one of the best roles I've seen all year long. And even Tyler Perry was really good, which was a huge surprise. At number 4, once again, going back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You probably could have guessed it, but I have. The film Guardians of the Galaxy really took me back to the Star Wars days. The movies that just were fun and they just went for it. And I was just loving that and craving that this summer. And did I get it? Well, yeah. Check out my review. I gave it an A+. But I just love this movie. Chris Pratt is just phenomenal as Star-Lord. Bradley Cooper is on fire as Rocket. Groot. Even Vin Diesel was really good as Groot. I mean, everyone did a great job. I can't wait for Guardians 2. At number 3 was probably my favorite movie of the year for a very, very long time. For number 3 and number 2, I always kind of got it mishmashed a lot, but I finally settled. Number 3 is X-Men Days of Future Past was probably my favorite comic book film of the year. It definitely had this complexity to it, and it was probably the best Terminator movie in a very long time, if you really think about it. I mean, this film really was just so awesome. I mean, everyone does a great job. James McAvoy is probably Oscar-worthy, in my opinion, as Professor Xavier. Michael Fassbender, their camaraderie back together. Of course, Hugh Jackman, great. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence actually was really good as Mystique. Everyone did a great job. It was cool to see everyone back together. And Bryan Singer came back with a vengeance with this franchise. He really resurrected it, and I was really happy to see him do that. At number 2 is probably one of the best sequels I possibly have ever seen. Next to Captain America: The Winter Soldier, of course. It is one of the best sequels this year, and that is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is just a phenomenal thrill ride throughout. It is summer movies at its best. It really gets you fixated. I mean, Andy Serkis is definitely Oscar-worthy as Caesar. Gary Oldman, great. Everyone does a great job. I mean, the directing is phenomenal. I was really concerned because this is a different director from Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which is a really great film, and I was really concerned with that. But I think Matt Reeves, who directed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, did a really good job, at accessing these characters and making them more realistic and making them more grounded. Alright guys, at number 1, if you've seen my reviews enough, you probably could have guessed it, but my number 1 film of the year is... Yes, Christopher Nolan haters, go ahead. Comment that I'm just some fanboy who just loves anything that he does. I don't care. Okay? Interstellar was really just a film that... It was the only film this year that made me just realize this is the reason why I go to the movies. This is the reason why I love film. This is the reason why I love acting. I love cinematography. I love directing. I love writing. And it just propelled that for a very, very long time. I know people have crapped on this movie. And that's okay if you think this movie is not as good as I think it is. I'm fine with that. I really am. I see where you're coming from. But I do think this film is just phenomenal. Matthew McConaughey, great. The acting all around is phenomenal. Christopher Nolan is a mastermind of directing. He is definitely one of my favorite filmmakers of this decade. And he just keeps coming out with just great movies. It's crazy enough to see him do something as ambitious and crazy as this. And that's the reason why I loved it so much. And it got me fixated and really sold me on this universe. And that's why I just loved Interstellar. It's my favorite film of 2014. So guys, what did you think about 2014 of the year of movies? And do you disagree with me or do you agree with me on some things? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments. Find me on Facebook, like this video, subscribe, and yeah, peace out.